realms run sky high, Adeline passive timer, adrenaline, winding pieces, spirit whirling, hero below zero, Vil zero.
Average percent 50 of taxations in general welfare recipients. If deficits occur, borrowing covers the gap, adding to the national debt, currently over $33 trillion. If deficits occur, borrowing covers the gap for welfare programs. In the U.S., for example, federal spending on welfare programs, e.g., Medicaid, SNAP, Social Security, is part of the annual budget funded through these mechanisms. In 2024, the federal budget was about $6.8 trillion, with roughly 50% of it going to social programs. Other sources, less significant but still relevant. Fees and fines, revenue from licenses, permits, or penalties. Grants or trust funds. Some welfare programs, like Social Security, draw from dedicated trust funds built from payroll taxes. State and local contributions. For programs like Medicaid, states often share costs with the federal government. The government funds welfare programs primarily through taxation. No unified libertarian stance exists, as views vary by individual and context. Some might cheer tax fraud as defiance. Others see it as a risky, suboptimal way to challenge the system. Data on libertarian opinions, specifically on tax fraud, is sparse, but their general anti-tax rhetoric, e.g., Ron Paul's calls to abolish the IRS, suggests sympathy toward evasion in principle, if not always in practice. There's also a split within libertarianism. More pragmatic libertarians, like those aligned with the Libertarian Party, might condemn tax fraud as reckless, emphasizing rule of law principles while pushing for lower taxes or a voluntary tax system. Hardline anarcho-capitalists, on the other hand, might see tax fraud as a legitimate tactic in a broader fight against the state, though they'd still caution about the risks. They might argue that while taxation is unjust, engaging in fraud risks escalating state power through legal repercussions, and instead advocate for systemic change through legal means, like tax reform or reducing government size. However, not all libertarians condone tax fraud outright. Many acknowledge that, under the current legal system, tax laws are enforceable, and breaking them can lead to severe consequences like fines or imprisonment, which they'd advise avoiding for practical reasons. Some libertarians might even view it as morally justifiable, framing it as an individual reclaiming their rightful property, especially if they believe the government misuses tax revenue or exceeds its legitimate functions. Libertarians generally view tax fraud crimes through the lens of their core principles: individual liberty, limited government, and skepticism of state authority. Most libertarians see taxation itself as coercive, arguing that it involves taking individuals' property without consent. From this perspective, tax fraud, evading, or misreporting taxes can be seen as a form of resistance against an overreaching state.
Throughout history, wars have left behind not only physical scars but also deep-rooted superstitions about ghosts and spirits. Many cultures believe that battlefields, where countless lives were lost, become haunted by the restless souls of fallen soldiers. Some common war-related ghost superstitions include phantom soldiers. Legends tell of spectral warriors appearing on old battlefields, marching in formation or reenacting their final moments. Echoes of war. Some claim to hear ghostly gunfire, cries, or the clashing of swords in places where historic battles occurred. Protective spirits. Soldiers have reported feeling unseen presences guiding or shielding them in combat, believed to be spirits of fallen comrades. Cursed relics. Items taken from battle sites, such as weapons or uniforms, are sometimes thought to carry the spirits of their former owners, bringing misfortune to those who possess them. Superstitions surrounding war ghosts often serve as a way for people to process grief, honor the dead, or explain eerie occurrences. War has left behind eerie tales of ghostly encounters, with battlefields and military sites often rumored to be haunted. Here are some chilling war-related ghost stories. The USS Hornet, this aircraft carrier, which served in World War II and the Vietnam War, is said to be haunted by the spirits of fallen crew members. Visitors report hearing voices, seeing apparitions, and experiencing unexplained electronic malfunctions. The USS Arizona. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the USS Arizona became a watery grave for over 1,000 sailors. Some believe their spirits still linger, with reports of faucets turning on by themselves and heavy doors swinging open mysteriously. Fort Leavenworth. Known as one of the most haunted military posts in the U.S., Fort Leavenworth is said to be home to numerous spirits, including General George Armstrong Custer. Residents have reported missing items, spectral visitors, and eerie noises. Gettysburg Battlefield. The site of one of the bloodiest battles of the American Civil War, Gettysburg is infamous for ghostly sightings. Visitors claim to see soldiers in uniform, hear phantom gunfire, and feel sudden cold spots. Normandy beaches. The D-Day invasion left thousands dead, and many believe their spirits still roam the beaches. Some visitors report hearing footsteps in the sand, seeing ghostly figures, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. These stories add an eerie layer to the history of war. The elementals. In the ancient discipline of alchemy, the four elementals, gnomes of earth, undines of water, sylphs of air, and salamanders of fire, were not deemed fanciful figments, but spiritual agencies embodying the primal forces of nature. Freemasonry, as a speculative science of the soul, retains these figures as veiled truths. The American Civil War left behind countless ghost stories, with battlefields and historic sites rumored to be haunted. Here are some eerie tales. Gettysburg's Phantom Soldiers. The Battle of Gettysburg was one of the bloodiest battles in U.S. history, and many believe the spirits of fallen soldiers still roam the battlefield. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures in uniform, hearing phantom gunfire, and even witnessing spectral battles. The Devil's Den. This rocky outcrop at Gettysburg is infamous for paranormal activity. Tourists have claimed to see the apparition of a barefooted man in a floppy hat, believed to be a Confederate soldier. Some say he mysteriously tells visitors, "What you're looking for is over there," before vanishing. Sharpsburg Battlefield. Antietam, the site of the Battle of Antietam, the bloodiest single-day battle in American history, is said to be haunted by ghostly soldiers. Witnesses have reported seeing apparitions of Union and Confederate troops still engaged in battle, firing phantom artillery at each other. Harper's Ferry's Wandering Spirit. Dangerfield Newby, one of John Brown's raiders, was killed at Harper's Ferry just before the Civil War. His ghost is said to wander the streets, recognizable by the large wound in his throat where he was struck by a spike. Lincoln's Ghost. Abraham Lincoln's spirit is rumored to haunt the White House. Several notable figures, including First Lady Grace Coolidge and Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, have claimed to see Lincoln's apparition staring out a window or appearing in the Lincoln bedroom. These ghost stories add an eerie layer to Civil War history. Gentle Day slowly emerges from darkness. Goodness awakens. www.x.com/gigagodsamar/status/1781686830578088612. Fairies, sylphs and angels are beings that can be visible on the plasma, etheric and astral planes. You can't see them, but you can feel their presence. If you go to the most beautiful spots in nature away from human population, you would most likely be able to feel their presence.
Sylphs are fascinating mythical beings associated with the element of air. The concept of sylphs originated in the 16th century from the writings of the Swiss physician and alchemist Paracelsus, who described them as invisible air spirits. Over time, they became prominent in folklore, literature, and even ballet. Legends and beliefs. Guardians of the air sylphs are believed to control the wind and clouds, influencing weather patterns and protecting the skies. Mythological air spirit, mythology.net. Invisible but powerful. While they are typically unseen by humans, some traditions suggest that they can be glimpsed under special circumstances or by those with mystical insight. Romantic and mischievous in some stories, sylphs are portrayed as graceful, fairy-like beings who interact with humans, sometimes helping them, but also playing tricks. Alchemical significance. Paracelsus categorized sylphs as one of the four elemental spirits, alongside gnomes, earth, undines, water, and salamanders, fire. Sylphs have inspired various works of art, including the famous ballet La Sylphide, which tells the story of a Scottish man who falls in love with a sylph, only to meet a tragic fate. Their ethereal nature continues to captivate imaginations across cultures. Sylph legends trace their origins to 16th century European mysticism, particularly the writings of Paracelsus, a Swiss-German physician and alchemist. He introduced sylphs as elemental spirits of air, part of a broader system that included gnomes, earth, undines, water, and salamanders, fire. Origins and evolution. Paracelsus' concept, he described sylphs as invisible beings of the air, distinct from humans, but capable of interacting with them. Etymology. The term sylph may be derived from Latin sylvestris, forest, and nympha, nymph, linking them to woodland spirits. Occult and literary influence, sylphs became popular in Rosicrucian mysticism and later appeared in 18th century literature and opera, often depicted as fairy-like beings with wings. Romantic era, the ballet La Sylphide, 1832, helped cement the image of sylphs as graceful, ethereal spirits, influencing modern depictions. Sylphs remain a fascinating part of mythology, blending alchemy, folklore, and artistic imagination. Windstorms and other extreme weather events have played surprising roles in wars throughout history. Here are a few notable examples. Spanish Armada, 1588. The Spanish fleet attempted to invade England, but powerful storms, often referred to as the Protestant wind, helped scatter and destroy much of the Armada, contributing to England's victory. Kamikaze typhoons, 1274 and 1281. During the Mongol invasions of Japan, massive typhoons, called Divine Wind or Kamikaze, wiped out much of the Mongol fleets, saving Japan from conquest. Battle of Long Island, 1776. During the American Revolutionary War, a dense fog allowed George Washington's troops to escape across the East River without being detected by British forces. Napoleon's invasion of Russia, 1812. While not a windstorm, the brutal Russian winter, with freezing winds and snow, devastated Napoleon's army, leading to one of history's most disastrous retreats. Weather has often been an unpredictable force in warfare, sometimes deciding the fate of entire nations. Windstorms have played a significant role in warfare, but they are just one of many weather events that have influenced battles and campaigns. Here's how they compare to other weather-related factors in wars. Windstorms. These can disrupt naval operations, scatter fleets, and make aerial warfare difficult. The Spanish Armada, 1588, was famously devastated by storms, and the Mongol invasions of Japan, 1274 and 1281, were thwarted by typhoons known as kamikaze. Extreme cold. Harsh winters have crippled armies such as Napoleon's retreat from Russia, 1812, and the Swedish invasion of Russia, 1708 to 1709, where freezing temperatures led to massive losses. Fog. Fog has been used strategically, such as during George Washington's escape at the Battle of Long Island, 1776, where dense fog concealed troop movements. Heavy rain and flooding. Rain can turn battlefields into muddy quagmires, slowing troop movements and making combat difficult. The Battle of Agincourt, 1415, saw English longbowmen take advantage of the muddy terrain to defeat the French. Heat and drought. Extreme heat can exhaust soldiers and lead to dehydration. In some cases, droughts have forced armies to retreat due to lack of water. Each type of weather event has shaped military history in unique ways. Would you like to explore a specific example in more detail? Weather played a crucial role in the Battle of Waterloo, 1815, affecting Napoleon's strategy and the battle's outcome. On the night before the battle, heavy rain and thunderstorms turned the battlefield into a muddy quagmire, making it difficult for troops and artillery to maneuver effectively. Napoleon delayed the start of the battle on June 18th, hoping the ground would dry enough for his artillery to be more effective. However, this delay gave the Prussian army time to reinforce Wellington's forces, which ultimately contributed to Napoleon's defeat. The wet ground also reduced the effectiveness of cannon fire, as cannonballs did not bounce and cause as much damage as they would have on dry terrain. Some historians argue that if the weather had been different, Napoleon might have had a better chance at victory. But as it happened, the muddy conditions favored Wellington's defensive strategy and helped shape the course of European history. Several key factors contributed to the outcome of the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon's strategic mistakes. Napoleon underestimated the resilience of the Allied forces and made critical errors, such as delaying the battle due to muddy terrain and failing to coordinate effectively with his commanders. Wellington's defensive strategy. The Duke of Wellington positioned his troops on the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean, using the terrain to his advantage and holding strong defensive lines. Prussian reinforcements. The timely arrival of Prussian forces under General Blücher was a decisive moment, as they attacked Napoleon's right flank and overwhelmed his army. Fatigue of French troops. Many of Napoleon's soldiers were exhausted from previous battles, reducing their effectiveness in combat. Superior coalition coordination. The 7th Coalition, including British, Dutch, Belgian, and Prussian forces, worked together efficiently, ensuring Napoleon faced overwhelming opposition. These factors combined to seal Napoleon's defeat, leading to his exile and the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon made several strategic mistakes at the Battle of Waterloo that contributed to his defeat. Delaying the battle. Heavy rain the night before left the battlefield muddy, and Napoleon waited until midday for the ground to dry. This gave the Prussian army time to reinforce Wellington. Poor coordination with commanders. Napoleon relied heavily on Marshal Ney, who was known for being reckless. Ney launched cavalry charges without infantry support, wasting valuable resources. Underestimating the enemy, Napoleon assumed Wellington's forces were weaker than they actually were. He also underestimated the speed at which the Prussians would arrive. Failures to secure key positions. Napoleon did not take control of the farmhouse at Hougoumont early on, which became a stronghold for Wellington's troops. Communication failures. Orders were not effectively relayed between different parts of the French army, leading to confusion and missed opportunities. These mistakes, combined with the resilience of Wellington's forces and the arrival of Prussian reinforcements, sealed Napoleon's fate. The Battle of Waterloo, 1815, was one of the most significant battles in European history, marking the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte and the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Here's why it mattered. End of Napoleon's rule after his loss. Napoleon abdicated as Emperor of France for the second and last time. He was later exiled to St. Helena, where he spent the rest of his life. Reshaped European politics. The battle solidified the power of the Seventh Coalition, a group of European nations that opposed Napoleon, and led to a period of relative peace in Europe. Britain's rise as a global power. The victory reinforced Britain's military dominance and helped establish its influence in global affairs. Impact on warfare. Waterloo demonstrated the importance of coalition warfare, strategic positioning, and the role of weather in battle. Cultural legacy. The battle has been immortalized in literature, art, and even music. Yes, ABBA's song Waterloo was inspired by it. It was a turning point that shaped the course of European history. Engineering. The Space Needle's construction used advanced engineering for its time, with a 30-foot deep foundation and 250 tons of rebar to ensure stability in Seattle's earthquake-prone region. Its ability to withstand 200 miles per hour winds and 9.0 magnitude. Earthquakes made it a marvel of modern engineering, reinforcing the needle as a practical yet symbolic form. Cultural context. The Space Needle was built for the 1962 World's Fair, Century 21 exposition, themed Man in the 21st Century, reflecting Cold War-era optimism about space exploration and technological innovation. The needle form symbolized futuristic aspirations, with its slender shaft and disc-like top evoking a spacecraft or satellite. Design inspiration. The Space Needle's concept originated with Edward E. Carlson, who drew a rough sketch inspired by the Stuttgart TV tower. Architect John Graham Jr. refined the idea, creating a flying saucer top, while Victor Steinbruck introduced the hourglass-shaped tripod base, inspired by an abstract sculpture called the Feminine One. This combination resulted in a 605-foot tower with a slender, needle-like profile. Fernsehturm Stuttgart, Germany, 1954 to 1955. The Stuttgart TV tower, designed by Fritz Leonhardt, was a pivotal influence on the Space Needle. At 711 feet, it was the first telecommunications tower made of reinforced concrete, featuring a slender shaft and a functional observation deck and restaurant. Edward E. Carlson, inspired by dining at its restaurant in 1959, sketched the initial concept for the Space Needle on a napkin, envisioning a similar tall, slender structure for the 1962 Seattle World's Fair. San Jacinto Monument, Texas, 1939, this 567.31-foot obelisk, commemorating the Texas Revolution, is a modern take on the ancient obelisk form. Its slender, tapered shaft and minimalistic design align with the needle aesthetic, emphasizing height and simplicity. Eiffel Tower, Paris, 1889, at 1,083 feet. The Eiffel Tower, designed by Gustave Eiffel, was a groundbreaking iron lattice structure with a tapered, needle-like form. Built for the 1889 World's Fair, it served as an observation tower and a symbol of technological progress, much like the Space Needle later would. Its slender, pointed design influenced later needle-like towers. Gothic spires, medieval Europe, 12th, 16th century Gothic cathedrals like Notre Dame de Paris or Chartres Cathedral featured spires that were tall, thin, and pointed. These spires, often reaching heights of 200 to 300 feet, were both decorative and symbolic, drawing the eye upward to symbolize spiritual aspiration. Their slender profiles resemble the needle concept in a historical context. Minarets, Islamic architecture, 17th century CE minarets, slender towers attached to mosques, emerged in Islamic architecture as early as the 7th century. These tall, narrow structures, such as the minaret of Jam in Afghanistan, 12th century, 213 feet, were used for the call to prayer and share the vertical, slender aesthetic of later needle designs. Obelisks, Ancient Egypt, 2600 BC. Ancient Egyptian obelisks, such as those at Luxor or Karnak, were tall, monolithic stone pillars with a tapering, pointed top. These structures, often over 100 feet tall, served as commemorative monuments and can be seen as early architectural needles due to their slender, vertical form. They were not functional in the modern sense, but set a precedent for tall, symbolic structures. The term needle in architecture refers to tall, slender structures with a distinctive, often pointed or narrow profile, evoking the image of a sewing needle. The Seattle Space Needle, completed in 1962, is a prime example of this architectural concept, blending futuristic design with structural innovation. Global reach. GTLDs allow for a global presence, not tied to a specific country. Brand identity. GTLDs can help create a unique brand identity and be memorable. SEO. Choosing the right GTLD can also impact search engine optimization, SEO. Website classifying. GTLDs help classify domain names. DNS lookups. GTLDs are crucial for DNS lookups and routing traffic to websites. Examples of new GTLDs: .pizza, .google, and .store. .com. Historically used for commercial websites, now widely used by various entities. .org. Originally for non-profit organizations, now used by a broader range of entities. .net. Originally for network-related organizations, now used by a wider range of websites. GTLDs are managed by the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, IANA, within the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. Unlike country code top-level domains, CCTLDs, which are associated with specific countries like .UK or .us, GTLDs are not geographically specific. A generic top-level domain, GTLD, is the part of a domain name after the final dot, like .com, .org, or .net. These domains are not tied to a specific country and are used by a wide variety of entities for various purposes. The .space domain extension is a generic top-level domain, GTLD, that can be used for a variety of purposes. It's not specifically tied to space exploration, but rather offers a unique and memorable address for businesses, individuals, or projects that want to stand out. It offers a unique and memorable address for businesses, individuals, or projects that want to stand out. The term space can refer to physical spaces, the vastness of the universe, or even abstract concepts, making it versatile. Halloween Eve.space. Halloween Eve.space.
U tržnom centru na posljednjem spratu, u susedstvu nakit hladni led, teče ormar oblaci, zmajevi u njihovoj kući, izlivaju se ponosna šljiva, usta čudovište navedeno, statue u ukrašenim verandama, svetle svijeće ističu se, vrela lava, izliv svetlu cavi luster, glodalo kandelabra, roza pau torrential downpour of amethyst geometry, geodez in symmetry. I got the sympathy, understated understanding, pre-planning surmule, crafty greginski love, amethyst geometry, geoder i symmetry. I got sympathy, underworded förståelse, förhandsplan legi.
Lilac vial opus violent, purple punch fruit lunch, top floor mall store next door, jewelry cold ice flows, closet clouds, dragons in their house pouring out, proud plum mouth, monster stated statues in decorated verandas, light up candles stand out, hot lava spouts, sparkling chandelier, candelabra pout, glossy rose round, Jorgovan vial opus. Nasilni ljubičasti punč, voćni ručak, prodavnica u tržnom centru, na posljednjem spratu u susedstvu nakit hladni led teče, ormar oblaci, zmajevi u njihovoj kući, izlivaju se ponosna šljiva, usta čudovište navedeno, statue ukrašenim verandama, svetle svijeće ističu se, vrela lava, izliv svetlucavi luster, luster. Glodalo kandelabra, roza pout, torrential downpour of amethyst geometry, geoden symmetry. I got the sympathy, underdated understanding, pre-planning surmule, crafty grain skill of amethyst. geomer, geoder i symmetri, agat sympati. Undervurdert, förståelse, förhandsplanläggning. Caliph, calligraphy, pens in the ink pot, rocket hopplots, alchemy, shotgun, bullets, bulletproof, armor of the sun, birdcage for us, no trust, the truth will rust in the storm, forewarned. Lilac vial, opus violent, purple punch, fruit lunch, top floor, mall store, next door, jewelry cold, ice flows, closet clouds, dragons in their house, pouring out, proud plum mouth, monster stated statues and decorated verandas, light up candles stand out, hot lava spout, sparkling chandelier, candelabra pout, glossy rose round, Giorgo van Vjala opus, nasilni ljubičasti punč, voćni ručak, prodavnica u tržnom centru na posljednjem spratu, u susedstvu nakit, hladni led teče, ormar oblaci, zmajevi u njihovoj kući izlivaju se ponosna, šljiva usta, čudovište, navedenost, tatue ukrašenim verandama, svetle svijeće ističu se, vrela lava, izliv svetlucavi, luster, glodalo, kandelabra, rosa pout, torrential downpour of amethyst, geometry, geoden symmetry, agate sympathy, underdated understanding, pre-planning, surmule, kraftig, rengski lav, amethyst, geomer, geoder i symmetry, agat sympati.